So with that being said, I'm going to draw a star, and I want to share with you how the effects basically work. So you'll notice that when I go to the Effect menu, there are two categories. There are what are called Illustrator Effects, and there are Photoshop Effects. Now they are very different. The outcomes are not different. In other words, they are going to change my graphic. They're going to distort it in some sort of way. But what the software can do with it later is very different. The Illustrator Effects can be expanded. We learned expanding today. My Live Paint object, my Live Paint group, is hybrid graphics. When I expanded it, it released the information into a vector that's scalable. It redrew that image that I saw on the screen, it redrew it as vector shapes. Well, the same thing is true here with Illustrator Effects. I can take this star and convert it to a three-dimensional object using this extrude and bevel feature, which is not true 3D. It's not like, drawing in CAD or drawing in Maya, but it's an illusion of 3D. So I can create this illusion of a three-dimensional star, and I can go to my object menu and expand it, and it will redraw it into individual vectors, as you can see here. So a lot of the features, I'm undoing what I just did, by the way. A lot of the features under Illustrator Effects can be redrawn as vectors. There are a handful that can't. The ones that cannot be redrawn as vectors are under the Stylize menu. Anything that has a softness or a feather or a shadow or a glow, a soft effect, cannot be redrawn as a vector. So I'll show you what it does. I'm going to add a drop shadow to this. So see the drop shadow on the object? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use Flatten Transparency, which is a form of expanding. Okay, so you'll notice it no longer shows the effect here in the Appearance panel. It placed it in a group, and it created something called a clip group. In the clip group, you'll notice that it says what right here? Image. So it did not release to a vector, it released to a image. And an image is a pixel element that, or pixel-based graphic that Illustrator has constructed to sit in place of that shadow. So all of the Photoshop effects, when you expand or flatten transparency, all of the Photoshop effects will release to an image. Most of the Illustrator effects, not all, but most of the Illustrator effects will release to a vector. So let me convert this, let me distort this again. I'm going to use pucker and bloat, which we saw earlier. So here's pucker and bloat. This is what I used to create that flower effect. You'll notice that it does not match the original line work. However, if I go to the Object menu and I select Flatten Transparency, hit OK, it redraws the vector line work for me. If I hit Command Y, you'll notice it's no longer a star. It is now outlined with that shape. So expand and flatten transparency will convert any effect back into an Illustrator effect, minus those that have a softness to it, into a vector.